Right, and today it's not an interview because I'm shit at interviewing. I've got my good friend Gerry Knotts for the Gorbals, and Gerry actually moved up to Provanmill as well. So I'll let Gerry just introduce himself.
How you doing, Ian?
Aye,
Nice
good,
to see
Gerry.
you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having us on. Although we have spoke quite a lot. In fact, just where we met there, I think you get the date. Was telling us it was 2001 when I seen you when you had
That's right.
just came out of your parole officers and stuff, and I was charging about the tune. But we go back a long way, and I did that. I got to know you up in Provanmill. I moved up there in 1963 when they were pulling the old Gorbals down. We stayed in 311 Lemure Street. So a lot of people were going to Castlemilk and all that stuff, and all the other surrounding areas, but we ended up, our destiny was to be up in Provanmill, Greenrigg Street, 51 Greenrigg Street, for maybe about 12 and a half years. But looking back, and obviously since we've caught up, and having worked up in that area and all that stuff, you get kind of melancholy and all that stuff. And I was driving about and remembering, you know, because if I look back at the 12 years, I didn't realise how significant they were for me as I got older. And because we're that social media stuff that we've got now, which is a blessing and a curse, do you know what I mean, at the same time? But I've seen a lot of people for way back and all the families that we knew in Greenrigg Street. And I'm connecting with them now. And so, yeah, we moved up there in 1963. And I ended up... my mum used to take me to the nursery down at where Alan Glenn's school would be, down in Toonhead. Right, I remember that. I can think back that far. Then I look at wee photos and I see them. Then I went to St Philomena's Primary. And when I say they were the best years, because at that time, it was all innocence to a certain age. Do you know what I mean? It was football. And my family were all parts of a great football player. I didn't know Johnny was a good football player. I knew Dennis was a great football player. And when I think, because we were talking about it last night, you know, the impact that area had with a lot of the really guys that had tons of potential for football, and because it was a big thing then. Do you know what I mean? And what it done was it had took me, because I used to play for the primary school. Mrs. Divers was our manager, and we done pretty well. We used to wear that red band with the white. It was like a Peru strip, something like that. And we done quite well. We got a lot of finals and all that stuff. And I think our mob that we used to play against all the time was St Catherine's. That was our kind of... We used to be neck and neck with them all the time. And I think they were just up...
Jameson?
Just up... Aye, the back end of there, that's right, aye. So they were great times, because you would be playing in the morning and then you'd be going to the guild in the afternoon, and then you'd be training through the week. I think it was a Tuesday and maybe a Wednesday. And me, Jackie McKenna was the guy who managed us, and another guy for the guild was Jackie, was another wee guy, Donnie. There was just full enthusiasm, man, and I loved it. That part of my life. Although you could say that Provanmill and staying in the two of them, I've had the gift of staying in the two of them places and going back to the Gorbals, because I always hankered for the Gorbals, because we used to talk about it all the time. And because I had been born there, I wanted to get back. But I didn't know how much of a wrench it would have on us now when you flip and move at a young age. And I was the youngest of six. It was me, my mum and dad, God rest them, and me, Pat, 7 years between me and Pat. And then after Pat, it's Dennis, and Johnny and Tam, and God rest my sister Marie, who's left us. So by the time we go up there, Marie had married, she had left. Tam was just about to get married, and what we had was me getting fucking passed about like wee Maggie out of The Simpsons, man, just out of the rain. And I don't have any early recollections, but what I do remember was that it was quite a ferocious area at times, you know what I mean? And we had Johnny and Tam in particular, they had to navigate for Greenrigg Street, down to the Square Peg and down to the Gorbals. And to do that, what they had to do was go down through the 27 bus route, down to Germison, then down to the High Street, and then down to the Gorbals, and then the same had to be done. So they had to go through all the ganglands to get to their own destinations. And I remember, just as a young kid, all that stuff, it was just, yeah, then they get themselves a foothold in the area, they get to know all the local guys that's all about, and everything becomes kind of cool for them, and everybody's happy. But my life up there was great. And what happened was that my ma, she was missing it. She was missing the Gorbals, and she wanted back down. And I think it was about 13. I was into my second year in St Roch's. See, prior to that, Ian, see when you were getting to about maybe 11, this is when the mischief was all starting to come in, because the exciting things in Provanmill were, and you'll remember this, is Greenside Street, where everybody used to all stand and drink and all that stuff, right? And the stolen cars that used to go up and down, was that Langdale Avenue? We were just after St Paul's Church. So it was all Mark II Cortinas. And what you would do is we would begin out watching for what kind of motors were getting stole that night, because it would be Capris when it was the thing, and Mark II Cortinas and all that stuff. And it was just a kind of wild period when you think back on it, because when I had that many pals up there. I was in so many different factions with different wee pockets of people at a young age. There was a lot crammed in, because we had a great street with the families. There was a few big families in our street, Greenwich Street. And I think the first time I got to know yous was, did you come round for Springburn, or was it Blackhill you came round for?
I was 6 and I moved from Springburn, Gerry,
that's what it was.
Blackhill to Drumpelia Street.
So, well, that's where I think I was quite pally with Fred.
Fred Bradley.
Fred Bradley. Great family, lovely family, a lot of them. And me, him and Gerry, they were a wee bit older than me, maybe about a year, maybe a year and a half. But they were the two. They were the quiet times, but the odd time, me and Gerry would be in. See your house, see the back of your ma's.
No.
You could fucking walk after the grass right into the bedroom. Do you know what I mean? You didn't need to climb because it was so low down.
That's right.
And me and Gerry used to sit and drink cans of McEwen's Export. Right.
Well, we moved when I was 6. Moved up to Drumpelia Street. Right. I was there. It was 12.
Right.
6 year there. Then we moved into Provanmill to get a bigger house, another room, because it was 2 bedrooms.
Right.
And had some fantastic times there. You were just mentioning the Greenside Street corner.
Right, that's right.
That's where it all started for me, Mark.
100%.
And the Rang path I went down.
Yes.
I was always wanting, you hit a nail there, I always wanted to go around and hang about with the boys. You brought all the memories about stealing the cars and all that. So that you struck it on the nail there, Gerry.
Well,
the early 70s.
Well, it was, because if you think about it, for me, there was a wee kind of comfort blanket in Greenwich Street. But when you started to venture out, it started to become a wee bit naughty. Blackhill, I would say, is probably one of the best places I've ever been in my life, because some of the characters down there,
definitely
phenomenal people, man. And that's what was a real rough area. But you were comfortable getting into it, although there was loads and loads of mayhem and madness was going on at it. And you started to move away I started to move away from the kind of interested stuff that I was in with the football. And it was mischief. Certain guys that I was at school with, God rest Colin Friel, he was a good pal. Really, and Lenny and James.
Colin died too.
James McFadgen, I mean? he was a great. I used to call the McFadgens my cousins, because they were really good friends with my mum and dad. And they came for the Gorbals, their man.
That's right,
came for there.
And had an uncle down there.
And I remember the tragedy with their brother, was it John, the oldest one? So there was, that whole party, that area was great. Right at that corner as well, if I can remember, there was a couple of pals of Pat's. They were kind of, I remember talking to Charlie Bradley about one of the guys. It was the Harrities. They stayed right in the corner. And then the O'Briens, because I played football with the twins, Peter and Paul. They were in, we were in the guild and in.
I think they were in Loch Green Street.
Were they in Loch? But they were right on the corner there,
right behind Greenwich Street.
So it was a great community. But as you say, for a lot of people, there was to become a fork in the road. People were going to go in different directions. And I remember you as well, because you were that wee bit older. And
I think I'm 2 year old on you now.
Aye, well, I just turned 61.
2.5 years.
I just turned 61 there on the 5th of September. And for me, Ian, if I look back, right, my track record, I try to stay alive through the fucking things that I put myself and other people through. I said to my brother in a message the other day, I said, I didn't think I'd get through the door in my 50s, never mind my fucking 60s, do you know what I mean? And when you look back, what I'm envious of you for is your memory specific, right? I've been left with fucking headless Swiss cheese. I need to be talking to people to get certain parts of my where I've been in life to remind me, because I actually remember the day that I left Provanmill and your cousin B. Alistair and me George Nichol.
Aye, Alistair, he moved into Gorbals.
So they were the two pals that I was going about with around about that time. And they were waving us away in the van and all that. Okay. You know, the big lump in your throat and all that stuff.
Because when we've spoke, Gerry, over the years, I always say to people over the years, the last 10 years, I've said to loads of people, Gerry stayed in Provanmill and they kind of look at me funny as if, no, he never, he's always been, but they don't realise you had that wee break. Your ma was looking for a house with a garden, wasn't she? Well, that's why she moved.
Well, that's what she wanted, that's right. That's right. And fortunately for her, there was a family who wanted to, I can't remember what the situation was, but it suited them to a tea coming down to the flats down in the Gorbals. And my ma was, I mean, you seen that garden that she had, and we were just off the corner, so you were away for any.
You were next to the Flynns.
We were right through the wall for him. You had the Connings up the stair. She worked through, Anna, I think, worked in Freddie's shop in the corner.
That's right.
And then you had the
I couldn't remember that.
You had the Stickles. Remember the Stickles? And Marie Stickles, she was a kind of hippie lassie. I think her brother worked in a fucking butcher's, and there used to be all that goat's heads and all that in the bins round the back and all that. I remember
the Faye's just along for Stephen Faye and that.
So what you had, I think, facing our door was, we were on the side door, was, I can't remember if it was the wee woman Curran.
It was,
wasn't it?
And she'd nieces for the Gorbals.
Correct, right. So I go to know all them again, that's correct. And all their extended family. I used to see the two lassies coming up there. That's right, and all their extended family and all that stuff when I went back down there. Yeah, because it's funny, there's a lot of tie-ins between the two areas, and I suppose every area has got that with how families all drift about. But then through there was the Fays. They stayed in the wee hooses with the wee kind of arches.
Oh, Harry's still there.
Is he still got the ages, Harry Fay?
He must be in his 80s, you know what I mean?
He's one of the fittest.
Somebody just told me Mrs. Fay just died recently. I didn't know that.
Well, Ian, here's a funny story. Harry was really
aye.
But do you remember that wee hill that used to be next to Andy Quinn's house with the wee hill, and it used to be a slide.
That's right.
In the bad weather. Remember when you used to get snow on it?
No, there used to be cracking times, and we used to all play in St Paul's Church. Remember the back St Paul's Church? Gerry was a good football player. I was shite.
But here's the story. Here's what happened. We were all playing football there. And my old man came round, he must have got off a fucking bus stop or something, but he was smeckled anyway. He was getting home for the Anvil pub. That was his office. That's what he was his local. And he got onto that wee thing, and he was sliding out of the pitch. He was drunk, obviously. He was hurting into hedges, but he never went down. And he managed to get himself down to the bottom of the hill and walked through, and Harry Fake, one of the fittest guys I've ever seen, he just stepped on it and ended up sliding.
I think Harry worked in the steelworks there on the south side somewhere.
I think he did, aye.
Oaklands, kind of.
There was two brothers, I think, Karen and Stephen.
Stephen and John.
That's right.
I met Stephen about 12 years ago up in Castlemilk. He moved up there, and Karen, she ended up going to the Bahamas and all that, working.
I think I've seen her on Facebook.
Then you'd across the road next to me, Gerry, you'd the Martins, Johnny Martin and Dunky. They were good football players.
I think he played with Celtic.
Dunky signed with Celtic.
Yeah.
But in that area, I must say, see Provanmill, see the boys in the late 60s and early 70s, Gerry. See if they all put their head to it, they could have been playing with Rangers and Celtic. They were that good.
No, there was tons of good dudes.
You had a crack manager up there. There was thing with Rob Murray, who was brilliant.
Yes.
He was one of the, I think he was the best United amateurs. Then you had Dickie Boland for Blackhill. He done a lot for the community.
That's right.
The football. Then you Joe Johnston.
I don't remember. I remember Rab very well. Very well.
Rab and Joe used to run. See, just at the Ranzer
Yes.
pub.
Yeah.
There was a wee scheme there. A lot of people don't know it's called the Ranzer Place.
Yes.
There was a wee scheme across for there was St Roch's. St Roch's, I think it was St Roch's Primary School, and we used to go there every Thursday, I think Tuesday, and Rab and Joe would run the football. But see the players that came out of there.
Rab was devoted.
Rab moved to the Gorbals, didn't he?
100%.
He did. So he went from Provanmill into the Gorbals as well.
The maddest thing is, I mean, I'm out right.
Rab was brilliant.
It's class. I was right on the main artery now of the Gorbals, and Rab had he'd one of the fancy Dalmatian dog, and he used to wander about with it, and then I ended up talking to him, reminiscing.
Was this in the Gorbals?
This is the Gorbals. He used to bump into him all the time.
He was a nice guy as well, and a top guy. You says that he passed away.
I think he passed a wee while ago.
Sad to hear that. So
that's the thing. I mean, they always say they never regret growing old. It's a privilege denied
I must
to
say,
many.
the three names I mentioned, Joe Johnston, Rab and Dickie Boland, they done a lot for the areas. And you had Davy Crow, Johnny Crow, and Jamie. They were all fantastic football players.
I played football. I think Johnny Crow was amazing.
Remember you mentioned earlier on, Gerry, I forgot, I says the pitches up near Berlin, and you says Letham Hill.
That was Letham Hill.
The pitches up there.
It was Letham Hill.
Letham Hill it was, aye.
Aye.
And all the boys used to play up there. You had Big Brian Graham for Blackhill, Colin Spence. Ian O'Donnell, remember Ian that stayed next to St Paul's? Great football player. He was brilliant. There's that many, isn't there? Try to Brian McMahon for Long Green Street, and Rab had a fantastic. They were winning everything, weren't they?
Oh no, well there was something that he had.
It was really good.
That was.
I think Rab worked in the shipyards as well. I think he worked in an office and all. He did a good job and everything else.
Well, I remember. I mean, Pat will probably kill me for saying this, right? But Pat had potential.
Pat, your brother.
Oh, he'd be great potential, Pat. Right. And he was. Do you know? I'll tell you how I knew how good he was, because when I used to. What's the name of the pitches up at the back end where the Broomfield Tavern was? What was the name of it? What was the name of the pitches?
I don't know if it was just called the Broomfield, was it?
Well, I remember United Amateurs playing up there, right? And I played against, I was younger, a good bit younger than Pat, 7 years younger. And we Mo Johnson and Graham Mitchell, they were standing at the side of the park watching this game. Now, Graham went on to play for Hibs. And we Mo obviously had his checkered career.
I met Graham this year at a funeral.
But they were talking about Pat, because he was a wee maestro in the middle of the park. And Rab Murray had to come into my ma's in the morning sometimes to drag him out his bed to get him to go and play.
Was that Graham?
No, Pat, my brother.
Oh, your brother Pat.
Yeah, so I remember they two commenting on him at that point, do you know what I mean? And to be honest with Pat, he was great with me and all, because he used to give me a lot of encouragement.
But see, Pat, he's went on to do really fantastic in life, isn't he, Gerry? Pat, he's done really well, isn't he?
100%. I mean, guys like him, they don't like to get
recognised.
They don't like to get their car waxed, right? They go on with things, and
he's fantastic. Is it Willie? Willie are partners, isn't they?
No partners. No. What Pat's worked for Willie and worked alongside him. They're very, very close friends. In fact, they're the only two guys that I must say that have ever put me in the back foot. Obviously, because of my behaviours in later life and working and all that stuff, because I wasn't living right, you're disrespecting people, and you're disrespecting your position and compromising their position, all that stuff. But Pat, I have to say, him and a few others, had it not been for my brother, and not to discard any of the rest of my family, they were all. I mean,
but you actually worked for Pat then, didn't you?
In a sense, aye. So basically, without his support over the years, and the as much as that terror was in you because you were letting certain, I think because there was a 7-year bridge between me and him, and then when my old man passed away, he kind of flit it into that, that kind of emotional attachment that you get, and then he kind of became the kind of guiding factor. But I was that fucking much a loose cannon. Eventually, it was addiction. It just drove me to the left-hand side or the right-hand side, and everybody else in that kind of gets affected with the way that you're living. Do you know
Gerry,
what I mean?
how's-
But
how long
get
is that?
back to Pat.
Aye.
Pat's done, but he's done really well. He's a guy who will always be helping people. I mean, he's at the background. The amount of people that my brother's helped and along with me, and he doesn't take any gratification for any of that. It's just part of what they do. It's part of their nature, you know.
Just cut in for a wee minute.
Yeah.
Everybody, jumped in. No, Gerry, I remember at Johnny's funeral was it last year?
It was
2 years
a
ago?
year past. Johnny passed away, Ian, a year past in March. It was the 9th.
Aye.
The 9th. See, I'm trying to get date specific here, but it was the 9th of March, and he died peacefully, in his house.
Johnny was a bit of a legend, and he moved through. He was at Trin. He moved to his later years.
Aye, he did. He
He
did.
had the Trin Mafia coming through, didn't he?
Well,
For
it's
the funeral.
funny. It's funny. He said he joined the Seaside Cumby.
Seaside Cumby. That's what it was.
And the funniest thing was that we young Lawrence Shanklin. You know,
Aye.
the Shanklins were all Rangers fans.
Was that the
and-
football player lunch?
young Lawrence, he played with Ayr United at the
Right,
time.
that's
And
right.
Johnny used to go and support him.
Oh, did Johnny know him? Aye.
Oh, well, their family, the Shanklins and our family were all really good friends. My mum was at school with the old, the granny, you know.
Because Rangers keep saying they're going to sign him. I wish they'd get a move on that. I mean,
Well,
they'd have won the league last year if they'd have signed.
John used to rave about the wee guy, and
Yeah.
funnily enough, when my wee mate, wee Gary, died, we Parliament for Easterhouse. Me and him, I better let you get in because I've no shut up. But
That's what I'm trying to do. Shut up.
No.
I mean, because
Well, what happened was when there's a lot more in between, but the last time I met that young boy Lawrence was at a Pally Mines' funeral.
aye. So you've spoke to him now.
Oh no, I've spoke to him and
Is he actually a Rangers supporter? Aye?
well, the family are
Must
all
be,
they're all died in the will, but they're great people. They're great people, man. And that's the thing with most of your pals. It's funny how we all spit bullets at each other for 90 minutes and then it's gone.
know.
Do you know what I mean?
I've always said they don't pay your wages and that. I could go out and sit with all my pals at Celtic and the Rangers get beat. I don't like it, but
No,
I
you
just sit there and enjoy it.
I can tend to get annoyed with it at times, Ian. It's one of my it's one of my
You're on a
kinda-
good roll now, Gerry.
when you put people up there, they're always going to come back down.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's just.
But
a
see,
matter
just
of time.
talking about, before I forget, about Johnny, the whole of the Gorbals turned out, Gerry, and he was a love figure, and he was up for, see, a way back in the 60s with the Cumby and all that, and he would go for Provanmill back to the Cumby. And one of the stories, there's a guy actually wrote a book, and it's kind of a featured on Johnny.
I think it's loosely based.
The rise of
maybe.
the Gorbals.
I think so because the guy. I don't know much about the boy, but I think I think loosely.
Because Johnny done a wee kind of a interview in one, he was at the Brazen Head of the Sarah Heed.
Sorry, he'd funnily enough, aye.
And Gerry, before I forget as well, there's a funny story about Johnny. We're going to talk about serial killers shortly. There's funny stories to it.
Aye.
And Johnny, a serial killer moved to the Gorbals in an ice cream van. Do you want to tell that story, Gerry? This is true.
By the way, see all the years that I've known my brother, right? And all the years that I knew about the Gorbals.
Yeah.
I'd only ever heard it once about Fred West, right? Fucking been doing there.
Fred
and
West,
apparently he was, the way John described it, he was just milling about, and it was predatory behaviour. He was getting about in whatever, navigating in whatever field he was doing.
You had an ice cream van in the Gorbals.
Apparently. And in the video, the strange thing about it, Ian, is that's the last time I seen my brother. I hadn't seen him in the flesh for like months and months before that. But 2 days before he died, I had spoken to him on the phone for an hour and a half, which was another strange
Is this
one.
when he done the wee interview thing in the
He done an
Sarah Heeds?
interview and he was talking about Fred West, and he was talking about how it was bringing attention to all the skullduggery that was going on, and he had to get warned to get, and he had to, and I think him and his fucking ice cream van done a moonlight flitting in the middle of the night. But what John was talking about was the fact that he said there was a few people, he says, as myth would have it, had been planted in when they were building Kingston Bridge, he says. And I think that's where Mr. West would have ended up. So he did get chased out the Gorbals, aye. And I think all the young mob at that time might have been the ones that were he did the deed, you know, for the older ones.
You mentioned earlier as well, I've got to mention him because I've not mentioned him a lot. A good friend of mine, Gary's, Colin Friel.
Yes.
Colin sadly died a wee back in the early 90s.
I remember
We
Colin.
kind of had the wake up in the pub.
Yeah, yeah.
And Colin was a good boy, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
he'd done the Boston with Gerry and that, and he expelled for school and that as well, like myself. But we
Yes.
used to give out with Colin and go up to his sisters, Big Mo's up in Glenfarnock and that.
Yeah.
And
See what character.
a big family, the Friels, all Meg.
Yes.
All Meg, the
Was there a
man.
brother, Brian?
Pat.
Pat.
There was a brother, Pat.
Curly hair.
Pat was brilliant. Pat came.
Their window looked right across to your back.
Right.
Their back window looked right out to yours.
Pat, Colin and Gerry came down to visit me, and I was in Walton. I was 18 years of age and I got 6 months.
Yeah.
And I remember Gerry and Pat and Colin came down during the night. They've drove down, all steaming, and Pat had the kilt on, and he's in this jail Walton, and he's running about and he's going like, "Hoots man," and pulling his kilt up, and the screws are all sitting down in the visit's going to get ended. But Pat's a fantastic guy as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the Friels.
What age was that when that happened with Colin?
When Colin, that was around about 1990. Colin
What
must
age
have
would
been,
Colin have been?
I was about,
I remember
I was
them well.
29. Colin must have been about 27, 26, 27.
He's young, too young, man.
And he took his own life. You know what I mean? It was sad. He went out to the graveyard in Greenside Street.
Yeah.
I always remember it. It was
Jesus,
sad. You know what I
man.
mean? He was brought up with us, and he was his really good pal of yours, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all the Friels, a big family of them, so there is.
Yeah.
And but as it says, Gerry, through the years, a lot of friends and all that, and me and you, we were actually speaking about it. We don't know how we're still alive, don't we now?
No.
Because we thought we wouldn't reach 50 the two is.
No, well, you're right. I mean, it's funny. I mean, I need to be honest with you. I've seen you in various stages, Ian.
You've saw me at my worst.
You've allowed me in, and we've spoke a lot, and it's a two-way street. You know, when we talk.
No, I mean, Gerry are quite close. We can talk about. Gerry's one of the few people that I can go to and kind of I tell him things that I wouldn't. I'd be embarrassed to tell anybody else. And I've told you a few things.
100%, and that's a privilege for me because
a lot of weaknesses about myself. And that, I mean.
Yeah, and the way that I've been steered in through recovery in the last 17 years is that when you get that connection with people, whether they're in recovery or whether they're no, or whether they're doing something different or whether it's just a normal Joe that you might know, if you get the privilege of being able to listen to somebody open up about just what's actually happening with them, and what I've learned is that it's sometimes better not to even say anything to anybody. Just let them go and be prepared to just be an ear for them at times as well. So all of that stuff that is come into play.
No, you've certainly been that for me, Gerry, because I've told you things over the last 10 years now that just I wouldn't say to anybody else. I mean, and Gerry's a great listener now, that not like me. And he has in his recovery, he's done remarkably well. I've saw Gerry, he's lost as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Gerry always helps people, you know what I mean? And he's still doing all his meetings. But Gerry struggles with his health himself, you know what I mean? Which he doesn't mention. And you're just glad to still be here yourself, Gerry. You've had a few scares, haven't you?
Ian, listen,
you're still battling it, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of people.
But you don't say a lot about it, you know what I mean?
I'm put it this way, right? If I went and put the lottery on tonight and won 8 million, right, I would never be any better off than I am now.
No.
And that's the reason. The reason I'll tell you that is because a lot of people go and do a lot of prison time, right, and they end up in the jails and you hear their story, you know, and it's you get empathetic. Everybody gets a bit of empathy for everybody's position and where they've came from. My story's not the worst. But it's my story, it's my experience. And what I never do is give advice, I just share my experience for somebody.
Gerry, you can't, it's like me, I do these wee walks and I've tried to say to the young team, I'm saying, if you go down this path, this is what's for you, but I'm not rambling doing anybody's throat.
No.
I'm just letting them think, because when I was young, in one ear and out the other, so I just try and give them my experience. You're in the jail and a lot of things are going to happen, and first of all, if you've got a girlfriend, she's going to fuck off, you know what I mean? And then family members can become ill and die, and you don't get to the funeral, and loads of things, you know what I mean? And so I just try and say to them, well, if you get to jail, I'm about the consequences, the punishment part. And it's no nice to do. You could have, Gerry, you could have even a phone, you could have everything. But see, when that door shuts at 9 o'clock at night, I can tell you now, because I've experienced that 10 and a half year, a big sentence. It's not very nice, you know what I mean? And I struggled for 5 years. And I've not really been into all of that. And then I came out and I get back into crime and fucking...
Yeah.
So it's just all the things. But we're here to more or less talk to you, Gerry.
But just if I can just go back to you annoying if I can, because you've been in various conditions while you've been doing your talks, and you've also been doing your blink, you'll miss it stuff. You've went out there on a limb when you've not been in the best place. Now, what you can see is the benefit of what you're doing is because it connects you to other people. If you look at the comments, a lot of the stuff that you're doing, it's not really a people looking at you for your past. They're looking at the positives of what's happening in the moment, which is happening now. And that's how probably some people's pasts their greatest asset, because it gets us to the point where we can see the real you out the street, communicate. That's what your nature. That's what I didn't know that. I didn't know that I was an eyeball to eyeball person. I didn't know that I could talk and get my heart open, and somebody else's might open up as well. I knew nothing about any of that stuff.
We spoke before we came in here, Gerry, and I was kind of saying to you, I've just realised the last couple of months that without cocaine and alcohol and all the rest of it, I'm getting more confident. I used to think a few years, just even last year, that cocaine and alcohol, it made me more, but you're off the scale and you're just rambling and all that. But I'm actually more confident, which I can't believe I'm actually saying that. No, I mean,
well, I mean, the thing is, Ian, if you get into the depth of it on that, and there's a lot of buzzwords about the new, like ADHD and trauma and all that stuff, which is all part of the secondary illnesses of what people get, what have got before they're steered into addiction way and all that stuff. But my own kind of mechanism was to get, I get steered into 12-step fellowship, and I'm not going to mention people's names because I can't do that.
I know.
But there's we'll call him Big Al, and we Dean, and you know my.
That's the guys that help you.
Geordie, Frank, who just done his
eulogy. Remember Geordie? I went to Geordie.
Geordie was a mentor of mine for a long time.
Where was it? Near the district court. Geordie used to run a Saturday night, and Geordie was doing fantastic. Then you says to me, Geordie's died, and I went,
no, well, that's the thing.
Remember that?
She was 12-step fellowship.
9 years ago, Gerry, we were going there.
I need to watch what I say, because I can't mention meetings and all that stuff, and I can't mention people's names, and I need to be, because there could be somebody out there sitting on toast, maybe at the end of a crack pipe or at the end of their last drink.
The reason I mentioned Geordie, because Geordie died.
It was horrendous what happened with Geordie.
And he was doing very, very well with his life, wasn't he, Gerry?
Geordie was, in fact...
He done that Saturday night, I think at 10 o'clock at night, because I used to get down to your place, Gerry. He didn't run it, but he was one of the main persons doing it Saturday Night Fever. And the beginning of 2016, when I first went to recovery, over 8 years ago, and I went down to Saturday night, and I loved it. I mean, you'd watch people sitting up on stage with you, and I was still away with it, and I was like to Gerry, I says, I want up on that fucking stage and all that. He's like, cool down. I says, no, I was away with it. You says, no, he says, Ian, it's a guest tonight. I says, well, can you not just bring me them in Algarton? But I was flying, know what I mean? And fuck it. And I remember there was a lassie, I don't know, mentioned her mate, and she was brilliant. She poured her heart out. See, she used to have a wee business and everything, and she got into addiction. And so Gerry, that's what I love about, see going to the meetings. I've not been to any for ages, right? I love going to the meetings and listening to it. I love the stories. Because you go like that, fucking hell. Like bus drivers join us, and you hear the story, you go, wait a minute, mate. You did that. I thought I was worse, but there's always somebody worse.
Well, it's identification. It's identification.
It opened my eyes up, so it did, Gerry.
And that is part of a healing process, right? If you're doing that, plus you're doing other things that are suggested to you for the stuff that I need to do, whether it's prayer, meditation, be guided by something other than my thinking. That takes a bit of time to get comfortable with, but also a bit of time to get comfortable talking about, right? So it's all about the process. It's all about the process. I mean, because the things that's happened to me health-wise in early years has been...
Do you want to touch on it?
Well, I mean, I've had cirrhosis of the liver for I mean, I'd
that be battering the drugs and drink for
Ian,
years
I'd hepatitis C in the early 80s, and 9 out of 10 intravenous drug users in Glasgow had hepatitis C in 79. And then beyond, what happens is that I go careering into heroin addiction at 17. Ferocious habit with heroin. Was up to all sorts. There was nothing that wouldn't have been done, right? Okay, nothing.
Right.
And, you know, so where that takes you to is just another fucking level, because any value system that you've got to have, even as a kid getting brought up, that your parents or your brothers or your sisters try to instill in you, it's going to pieces, because they become targets, you know, and you're capable of stealing. And I done it. I stole off my family. I done all the things that I shouldn't have been doing.
I've heard you say,
and then other
in
people,
the meetings and all that.
Yeah, but
very, and that's what I like about in the meetings. 99.9% of people are honest, and they come out and they say all that, and you go, wow, and you listen to it.
What you've got to do, you know, is you've got to own it, right? And you've got to fucking own it, and you've got to continue owning things as you go on.
You've got to be very honest, because
the great thing for me was that I got awareness of the destruction that was in me and what I was capable of, and that's what these fellowships are trying to teach me through a programme of action, right? Is that everything all boils down to me. It's not about anybody else. It's my perception of what I think somebody else is doing to me, because I think I'm that fucking important. And it takes you a long time. That's why we have to be always in the giving mode. The giving hand's never empty. You've always got to be looking out to help people. And then that becomes a habit. It becomes a good habit. And it becomes part of the joy of doing it. But see if you fall into the trap, I try to manage things like your fucking emotions and your feelings and all that stuff. It's called taking the reins back, and I've suffered with all that. I know.
Well, you would take that drink of water, Gerry. I'll try to my button here. We spoke a lot and all that. Would you say you went to a place, Cardross in Helensburgh?
Yes.
Was that the beginning of your recovery, or did you get in?
No, funny enough, that was it.
Do you want to speak about that?
I came out.
When was that, Gerry?
Oh, Christ, you need to give me dates, because
20 years ago, 18 years ago.
No, a long time. I mean, I'm 61. When I was, I think I came out of Glenorchy.
Because that done a lot for people, Cardross, didn't it?
Well, I get the short, sharp shock, right? I get
Did you do detention?
I done detention, right?
So Alco done that as well.
I'd been in Longregend a few times. I had been in D Hall in Berlin a few times. It was all petty stuff. We shoplifting and all that stuff. I mean, I was Don Curly Wurly one minute you're running about with big bags of heroin, and then the next minute you're stealing fucking rolls of linoleum out the bars and running round corners and knocking all pensioners doing and all that. Right? Okay, so that's how quick you get down the scale, right? So you get into prisons and you get a wee taste of it. And I came out and I thought, fuck, the first thing I done, they give you money and they give you.
So your detention, what age were you done that? You're 18, 19?
I think it was.
You did it under 21, didn't you? Alco got it.
I think it was. I went into Cardross when I was 21, right? So I came out of there when about 20, right? 19, 20.
Then you went in there.
I went into a place called Alban House and stayed for 3 days.
Where was that, Gerry?
Just down in the Gorbals, next to the railway club.
Was that a rehab sort of a place?
No, it's where a lot of alcoholics all used it as a kind of, it wasn't a model, but it was a kind of place. So the guy told me, he says, look, if you're still here in a couple of days, I'll take you. And I had to stay. I was rattling because I'd been right onto the smack when I came out. And I stayed there. And he
took me when you came out of detention?
Yes.
Back into it?
Back right into
it. Fit as anything. Oh, bang.
And then there's
discipline in it.
There's always the threat of you taking an overdose and all that, Ian, because
you're just
no
fresh,
tolerance and stuff like that.
Too fit.
But anyway, I go back into that, and then I go into Cardross, and I'm there for a year. It's just all people all help. It's just all people that were in the area.
So see, Cardross, Gerry, it wasn't a 3 month for a sit. Was it a year you had to go?
Do you know, Ian, there wasn't any limit to time on that, but I had to get fucking prized at it with a crowbar because I was scared to come back out. So I went and stayed in a place in Clydebank with alcoholics for about a week. Seen the recovery stuff up in the mantelpiece. They never done any recovery stuff here. It was all just chit-chat in the morning. I went back out and because I'd put the heroin down, I thought to myself, right, the obsession of addiction kind of navigates you in other areas. So it was alcohol, then cocaine and alcohol, which is like the combination of the two for a lengthy period of time is highly destructive. Do you know what I mean? Plus, it's on top of all the other stuff that's rang me. So
see that year in Cardross?
Yeah.
Did you not think that was long enough for you? Were you still worried that you were going to come out and Because you're in a safety net in the places.
I think
And the big test is getting out.
I think for me personally, Ian, it was a case of being ready. I was never ever
not ready then?
No. I didn't even know it was. I couldn't even look people in the eye then. I was so crammed up that any form of chemical or distraction was what I needed. I mean, I used to smoke things like hash and all that, and it made me uncomfortable. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, what's wrong with you when you're in that position? Do you know what I mean? So it was like, I had a long career with the other stuff, with the booze and then the cocaine. And at the age of 43 and a half, I eventually get into recovery.
Is that when it was?
43 and a half, was I? You were talking about being, what you say, 63 and a half?
63.
So that's when my whole life changed, mate. Prior to that, it was a car crash. If I can start a car crash.
Well, I keep saying to everybody, shooting me the last 10, 15 years ago, I'm in my 1001 fucking rehab. Yeah. It is. It's been a long battle with me. No, I mean, and I keep going like that. At my age, I should have got this gig, but it's. I'm not blaming it, but when you get into company, Gerry, and see if I take a few drinks with myself, your inhibition's lower. And if I'm out in company, I take 3 or 4 drinks, and somebody offers me a line, I'm going to take it. So the new, I should have learned better by now, but it's still a learning process, and it is hard. No, I mean, so you try and keep yourself away. I've been asked to go out a lot, Gerry, the last couple of months to places, and I've actually went and I've went to 3 major things with pals and that, and I've drunk water. Yeah. Because I knew that if I went, I'd be taking the stuff. Yeah. So I'm still not fully recovered. I always say in my wee walks and talks that people ask about us and all that, and I say, you've got to fix yourself before you can fix anybody else. That's how when people ask me to go and talk to people, I go, I'm still not ready yet. No, I mean, and I'd feel a bit of a hypocrite. But me and Joe Steele were supposed to go down to Greenock on Thursday there. The boy Robbie, he works with offenders. It was just out of prison, and me and Joe agreed to go down and talk to them. Good. And we were looking forward to it there. Good. But Robbie phoned us on the Tuesday and he cancelled it. And we were kidding, but he's going to try and get it again. But we were all set to go and just try to put a wee bit into it. Was too cool. Well, Joe, he get 20 years in the nick for something he never done.
I've seen that.
So he's got a lot of experience. You know, Joe, it's horrendous what he done to him in TC. You know what I mean? Yeah. They stitched him up.
I met TC's brother in London.
Lockie. Rab. Aye.
Aye. It was tragic what happened with Rab as well. I read the story. He died, I met him. I went down to see Pink Floyd down in Earl's Court in London. Right. And I went down, and prior to that,
Did you know Rab before it? No,
what happened was he was a pal of Johnny's, and we had been doing, funnily enough, 2 weeks prior, lobbying Parliament because my auntie had been killed in that explosion in the flats.
That was in the Gorbals, Gerry.
That was in the Gorbals, aye.
If you want to explain, Gerry, they were detonating the flats and fucking all the debris and all that. Man,
I could get into the gory details, and I think there might even be some legalities around about it now, where I don't want to really say too much. But
was that wee Tam's sister?
Uncle Tam.
Uncle Tam, I knew Gerry's Uncle Tam from Berlin.
That's right, and he was up 10 years as well. Tam
what was his second name?
McMenemy.
Tam.
That was my ma's side.
A cool wee character. So
there was the twins, the Pat and Tommy, and my ma, Ella, Jean, and I think there was a few others in the family. So your auntie was that Tam's sister? Yes, Ella, Auntie Ella, aye. That's right, aye. Well, what happened? It was such a
many years ago was that, Gerry? A long time ago.
Christ.
They were bringing down the flats.
They were bringing down the flats, aye. And they had botched it, Ian, big time. They had botched the whole thing. Right. And a bit of concrete flew up. There was a Lantern pub, and then there was a police station. There was a wee small lane that went right. She was walking back for her work, and she get hit right in the chest with a piece, and it asphyxiated her. That's when it done. It suffocated her. That
was some behind the barrier and all that safety net, wasn't it?
Funnily enough, I mean, they only had them a few hundred yards away down there at that time, but yet they shut the Kingston Bridge off and all that stuff. It was a weird setup. See why
over in the Gorbals, Gerry, can we just talk about a couple of people I know for there? 100%. That you know. Ernie Barry, of course, not. I mean, a great friend of mine. I met Ernie was 21 in Berlin, and Ernie was doing 2 years. he broke into Perth prison, got 2 people out. And anybody that does that for anybody is a friend of mine. So me and Ernie became close.
Yeah.
And Ernie, there's a lot of back history to Ernie. He got the 18 year for a bank he never done. I was doing it at the High Court a way back, I think it was 85, 86, and I had to get into Ship Bank because I was shocked at the 18 year ago. Then he was in the Blinny riot. And then he won his thing. The Blinny riot got not guilty. And Rough Justice were campaigning for Ernie. And Ernie got out and he was with his missus up in Glenrothes, and he came up to the pub in Springburn. It was a wee back 89, 90, and he says he was leaving his missus to go with the lassie Fulton.
Marie?
You know all the Fultons.
I know them all well. Great family, aye. Yeah, I remember
then
them all
ended
well.
up settling in the Gorbals with Marie.
That's
And
right.
there was a lot of more tragedy that was to come for Ernie, wasn't it? Young Ernie, because I was in jail then. Do you remember all that well, Gerry?
I'd be lying if I said you. And I didn't know Ernie that well, right? But I knew Marie.
And
I
you
think
knew Alec Fulton and all that. And what's the wee one with the glasses?
Danny. They were all.
What was the wee nickname? You had the nickname. I was in the Foo. Was it Foo?
But what you had
Wee
was
Foo,
Danny and that stayed in Cumberland Street.
Wee Foo with the glasses.
And that was James. Up the stair and along the corridor, which was my big owl that helped me in the early days of recovery. And Brian and James and Alex stayed right next door to Big Alec.
So there's a big family, the Fultons, wasn't there?
A couple of doors down.
And another family, Gerry was trying to squeeze them because it goes that quick.
Right,
the Sinclair brothers.
Well,
They were all Jim Sinclair and all that.
Great
He's
family.
no longer with us.
Alan's still going strong.
Young Alan, and then there was Ramy. I think Ramy's still living, and there was Rab.
Rab passed away.
Rab passed away as well.
Rab was a gem. So was Jim. The two of them were great.
I both staying quite well as well. They knew Gerry Rowett. I knew Gerry's kind of old man. Did you know Gerry? Well,
no. I've seen him. I've seen him on. I think we were kind of conversing.
He was on Sean Atwood's podcast
on Facebook for a wee while.
Funny stories and
then
Gerry's doing a lot. I
think it was his dad. His dad was pally with Uncle Tam.
It was. So Gerry was in.
He was
Peter
pally
Leeds
with Tam.
Grant and all that. You know what I mean?
That's right. I know there's a lot of characters in the Gorbals, man. A lot of good people.
Who was that? Was it King?
Wee John.
The boy in the cat.
George passed away recently as well.
Is that the boy I knew, King?
You knew
George.
No, he passed away. George passed away, aye.
And he had a brother. He's
young John. John's doing fantastic.
You met him, remember?
And Ronnie, they're two gems. Ronnie just got married actually recently. They're doing really well.
I was just trying to think of
I was pally with Wee John for a long time. We still are.
Who was all kind of the big families you grew up with in the Gorbals, Gerry?
Christ,
loads, isn't there?
When I went down, man, there was. Do you know the funny thing is, Ian? Right, see, before I went to the Gorbals, see everybody that I got to know down there.
Right.
I already knew them because Pat and Tam and Johnny used to talk about them all, and I got to know all the families or the. I mean, some big families down there, and they're all close knit over the years. Do you know what I mean? And Johnny went about with wee Commie and all them, and Tam.
Johnny got a fantastic turnout, didn't he? The whole of Gorbals turned out from it. He did because I was right. Really
he was a bit of a character, man. And funnily enough, the punters that they all used to be fighting me in the Carlton and all that. And surrounding areas, governed. And over the years, I remember getting introduced to all these guys that John would maybe have been at loggerheads with, and they were all the best of pals. That's the thing about the years, Ian. You know what I mean? The years kind of take care of themselves.
I wanted to ask you this. I know about your brother Tam.
Yes.
Do you remember it was about 8 years ago, and I was just going to recovery beginning of 2016, and you says he'd make a wee day up. We'll meet in the Merchant City and. Then I was going to get back to your house, then a meeting, and it was your niece's 40th that night.
It was
that was a fantastic picture. Do you know what I remember? Me and you went into a Neil's in the Merchant City.
You met me in there.
Aye, and we were going to have a burger.
That's right.
And your brother Tam phoned, and you went, right, no, I'm taking you to that fancy place, the fish place.
The Gandolfi.
And Tam, he was brilliant that day. Took us out, didn't he? We were going to have a wee burger and they took us out to this
it was a
fish
good day,
place, wasn't it? A good day then.
He's always asking about you.
Aye, Tam, that was great what he done that day, and he brought the white wine and all. I was drinking at the time because I made it clear to Gerry. I says, tell everybody when I go to Saturday Night Fever, I'm going to be a guest, but I went up to your house.
Yeah.
And then we went to your niece's 40th at Campus Lang.
That's right.
That was a great night.
Big Joe Deacon was the DJ, wasn't he?
Aye, Joe, aye.
That's right, aye.
My wee pal Gonzo, he's wee Gary, he's him and Joe do the thing. They've been doing it for ages.
Joe's a good guy,
Metro and all that.
He's always sending me WhatsApps about Celtic.
Well, do you know I'm supposed to be through Gonzo that we've been talking the last 6 months, and Gonzo says that him and Joe's in Switzerland staying, and he comes back.
That's right.
We're going to do a walk and talk.
Oh, brilliant.
And we're going to talk about how they started and doing it at the Metro.
You'll remember, you'll go way back with him.
Aye,
you'll go way back with
so
him.
I'm looking forward to that. No,
I'd be sitting in a house full of smack when you were at the Metro, probably.
Jerry,
it was a coke.
Jerry, can I say, right, we're going to talk about the Metro because it was Joe name that kind of started it down there.
Yes.
No, can I just make it clear? I've never been to the Metro.
Oh, did you know?
No, because in the 90s, Jerry,
Yes.
I went 91 to 2001, so I missed it all.
Right, okay.
So just to make that clear.
Because you made up for it when you came back,
I made up for it when I got out.
Did you
I
know
get put back in the jail for a year for arrest.
I know, did you know tell me you used to have your raves in the neck? You know that with the ghetto blaster?
I took Eckies in the neck, Jerry, believe it or not, after 5 years.
You told me, aye.
And people, you took an Eck in the neck. And I went, they went, how'd you do that? I went, easy. They says, I couldn't do that. And that was mad times.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, when you think back to because
I know when I say to people, you're going to take an Eck in the neck, they went, how could you take an Eck in that wee cell? I went,
well, your body's been in great nick. You've always kept yourself fit all the time. I mean, I got liver cancer in my 10th sober birthday. Right. So I'm nearly 17 years sober. And I'll tell you, the maddest thing about it is that when they told me, I wasn't even scared.
Right, you weren't there now.
No.
What age were you then, Jerry, when you get told this?
50? It was just about 7 years ago.
So you've been going for scans and all that every year now?
Every 6 months ago. Every 6 months ago, aye.
You're just glad you wake up in the morning. It's an old adage just to be here.
But put it this way, Ian, 4 of my mates have went with liver cancer, and I've done about 3 of their eulogies. Think about that, right? If that doesn't have you grateful, because you see the loss that people and the effort that people have put in. My wee mate got a liver transplant, and did it work? No, it never worked, man. Within a year he was gone, and it was heartbreaking, man. So I still have that kind of guilt around about the survival thing.
Gerry, and my big pal Grant McIntosh, he's always saying he goes to 3 funerals every 2 weeks. We're getting to that age now, aren't we?
It's unbelievable. And you know, but do you know the other thing about it as well is that it's mad you get into your old age, you've still got the heat that you had when you were 21.
I still feel young,
crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But see, I don't want to, because this is it'll probably go right quick. This an interview, a chat.
Yeah.
Because my brother Gary was supposed to come down in day one 4 months ago, and I went, I can't, and he says, we'll not be able to talk for 15 minutes. I says, Gary, the hour just goes like that. But before we forget, and we're talking about serial killers again, they'll go, for fuck's sake, where's this going? Gerry's a fantastic story. See, when I was going to meet him, Gerry's a great talker, by the way. No. He's better than me. He's got all these good words and big words, and I'm amazing. Gerry is really good at speaking. Yeah. And we were speaking before we went, and Gary says, ask him this thing. There's another serial killer. But when Gerry, would it be fair to say, Gerry, when you were at your most addictive and all that, this wee kind of incident, and Gerry, the reason I'm saying this, Gerry actually says, I think we were in Motherwell when I first heard it, and the whole place was stitches, and I was laughing. He knows what I'm talking about. So you want to say how that story started?
Basically, it's just an analogy, isn't it?
Because it's funny, you'd like to bring a wee bit of humour. It's an analogy,
because I laugh at myself. I laugh at myself, and when because a lot of my family, they're all quite humorous, and I've maybe been blessed to be able to look at things with a bit of humour, even the bad sides. Because I used to, part of my gig was to sit in the house, snorting cocaine, drinking vodka, smoking about 300 fags. 3 days later, your eyebrows are full of soot. You're trying to venture out the door, and then you just want to get more gear. You want to get back into the saddle and just sit back down again and sit in your tortoise scone. Ian, I lived that life for years. But when I was out in the circuit, or I would be out using, where I was trying to enjoy it and all that stuff, you would get into the weirdest situations. You would get into the weirdest places. You would end up in mad houses that you shouldn't be in.
Right.
And you'd end up in situations where just about anything could kick off at any time. Right. And what I look back at when I came in, I call it my CV, how I behaved during the years. Yeah. And not only the damage that you do to yourself, what you do to other people, but the situations that drive you when, for example, you're sitting there at 2 a.m. and you can't get any gear. Nobody's answering the phone. You've charged your phone battery up about 4 times because you can't get a hold of anybody. And that's what I was saying in that meeting that night. I would have went to Jeffrey Dahmer's house, by the way, 21 up in the flats, even with Fred West.
This is the serial killer for America.
That's right, even with Fred West and Dennis Nielsen getting up in the lift with you, I'd have took the fucking chance, right? I'd have done that.
Oh.
So it's I'm talking about the...
No, see, when you say that in that meeting, Gerry, for the first time, it was about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We were at a meeting and the whole place on stitches and all that, and but when you see that, you went, because that was you would have fucking went up to his door, wouldn't you?
Well, it'd have been anything. It wouldn't have stopped me. It wouldn't have stopped me. I'd have been like that through the letterbox, just shouting at me. Yeah. But the thing about it is that when you look back, Ian, it's you can't see when you get into a place where recovery is important, and other people are important to you, and you know how to treat people. I'm failing at that quite miserably at the moment in certain areas in my life, right? But the fact of the matter is that the best thing that's ever happened to me is the awareness that I've got around about. Sometimes I don't use it, Ian. But
you're still helping a lot of people, the new Gerry. You try to help me. I was unhelpable, wasn't I?
But that's no anything for me to take credit with. That's a higher power that guides me to give me the energy, and I get the fruit after that. That's like me picking a fruit basket, helping somebody. It's a kind of paradoxical thing, Ian. And it's a sense of duty, because if we're doing it, we're keeping ourselves right. We've
got a couple of minutes left, Gerry, but this is definitely going to be a part 2, because we've not even touched on half the things that we were going to talk. Yeah. And the last couple of minutes, I'm trying to think what else to say, because you forget that much, don't you? But there's loads of things for us to say. No, I mean, But it was just to let you know we're coming to the last couple of minutes. And,
okay.
It's been great to see.
It's funny, isn't it? It's because this has been we're a bit more lucid than this when we're just talking to each other, you know. But it's when you're in this kick. So it's the first time I've ever done this. I've never done anything like this before. Although I have got used to talking in front of people. For me, that was a massive thing for me, was to be able to sit in and share how you're, be honest about how you're feeling and that type of stuff. And it's getting current has always kept me right, Ian. Do you know what I mean? In fact, I had to phone my sponsor before I came in here, and I says to him, Andy, there'll be a big cheer in the middle of Glasgow.
There was a boy, did I mention?
Because I've phoned you.
See, just before I finished, seeing you were doing in Gerrys, there was a boy getting in touch with me through my channel, Thomas 670. For Sight Hill. He's done in Bristol now, and he's doing brilliant.
Good.
I was on holiday with him and Sam Wilson, who's no longer with us.
You showed me a photo.
My boy Johnny. He's no longer with us either. There was 4 in this photo, and I put it on one of my things I was doing on YouTube. And Thomas got in touch and he went, "I'm in that photo."
Wow.
And he heard me talking, because this has been a long time coming, ain't Gerry? We've been speaking this for about 10 weeks, 3 months.
We speak a lot
to get this wee kind of an interview, a talk between friends. And Thomas, he's done in Bristol, and he was saying, going to tell Gerry I was asking for him. He was in Cardross with you.
Send my regards back to me.
Loads of people have been asking for Gerry from all over when they heard that he's going to come on.
Yeah, good.
But this has been really good. I've enjoyed it, and I've sat chilled, kept my mouth shut and let Gerry. But we've hardly even touched on anything.
No,
really, but I've enjoyed it.
I've kind of skimmed the tap a few times.
That's when you know you're comfortable with somebody. To talk. I knew it was going to get in quick anyway. So
it's flew, I know.
It is, isn't it? So do you want to just finish up the last minute?
Oh no, well, Ian, listen, it's. I mean, it's where I'm feeling it now is when I see you and I see what you've been through, what you've came through, and the connection that you're making out there with other people. And we all make mistakes. I'm still making them. I'm fucking. I mean,
nobody's perfect.
I've got a lot to learn, man. and how I treat other people and stuff like that. So my learning curves never stopped me. Do you know what I mean? But the day, I wasn't uncomfortable with the day. I was a bit apprehensive, but
I was looking forward to it.
Oh no! But so you never know how these things are going to land.
I was a wee bit apprehensive.
So I expect it will go out there now, and some of your crew might like it.
Yeah, they will.
And they might.
No, because I'm actually doing these walks and talks, and I've kind of found my foot. I like talking to the people on the street.
100%.
No, I mean, they'd be kind of a famous or whatever. I've found the people on the street are the best people to connect with and all that. As I just walk along, people come around and talk away, and you just strike up a wee report with them, and
that's
amazing.
That's right. And this is the best place I've seen you in a long time. I don't know if I'm right or no, but you
were saying that before we came in. Now.
But
as I say, I feel a lot more confident now that with foot taking stuff and all that.
Great.
You know what I mean? But I know, just finishing up as well, Gerry, you were actually in a wee kind of a film, I know, weren't you?
Oh no, that was...
You've got a good friend that's quite
Aye, Alan. I've not seen Alan for a wee while. He's mega busy.
Alan
now,
at Fingmead Oasis?
Alan McGee, aye. I told him I was coming on to do this, but...
Did you tell him?
I'll end with this.
Because you're still in touch with him, aren't you?
Aye, I've not seen much.
End with that, Gerry. How you met Alan and that?
I met Alan through a mutual friend of mine who's now passed away.
Right.
Boy from Edinburgh, who never made it.
The boy I know as well?
Harry.
Harry was... We were at his funeral, weren't we? It
was today
Harry was
something
great.
today after this pandemic thing that had
Remember
happened.
you introduced me to Harry, went through and he made us a meal in Edinburgh.
That's right.
And unfortunately me and Gerry were at his funeral as well.
That's right, and it was tragic what happened to him. But I met Alan through Harry, and it was 2017, just as I get my diagnosis.
Right.
And Alan's quite open book. He talks open book about a lot of stuff, but he had somebody very close to him that was struggling.
Right.
And we'd exchanged numbers, and we spoke at length for quite a while. And he gave me quite a nice compliment at one time. He says to me, Gerry, he says, people tell me what I want to hear. He says, you tell me what I need to hear. Yeah, so I felt as if there was a connection going on with us, and we did.
He's going quite well, didn't he?
But he phoned me one day and he says, you need to come down to London to be in the movie. You're playing Bobby Gillespie's star. I says, as I'm sitting typing keys in an office, I says, Alan, I'm fine. He says, no. He says, don't worry about it. He says, you've only got one line in the film. I says, listen, I've never had one line in my life, right?
One line.
We went down and what an experience, man.
Brilliant.
What an experience.
No, because you just got on really well, didn't you?
I know, I've not sat down with him for a long time, but for the last year or two. But he's a good guy, man. He's
so that's us just coming to the end of the... We're wee informal chat, so we need to come back again, Gerry.
100%, yeah.
So it's been great, and he's in hand.
Brilliant, man. We'll go and get something to eat, do we?
We'll do that.
Right,
and Gerry, thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
It's been a long time waiting, and you've been a good friend to me over the years. That's been over 50 years we've known each other.
100%.
Can you believe that?
And Gary. And Alco.
Where does the time go now?
It's flew
And Gary's doing well enough for you, so he's working away.
Gary's great.
Gary's great. Last 10 years. And he was asking for you, he says... Remember and bring that story up with Jeffrey Dahmer about Gerry, because I was telling him in the meetings. But no, fantastic, Gerry.
Thanks for having
we'll do it again, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, mate.